I'm Lauren with Pack Hacker, and in this video we're taking a detailed look at the Able Carry Max EDC, which I've been testing for the last 2 weeks. Let's dive in. You can tell just by looking at this bag that it's an Able Carry bag. It has a lot of their same design features as the other bags that they have. So with the materials, we have this available in an X-Pack or a ripstop Cordura. I have the ripstop Cordura here, so you can see it's got that little ripstop design on the outside there. It's a decently heavy bag. These are 3.2 or 3.4 pounds depending on the size bag that you get. And at 26 liters, it's not like overly huge, but it's a really durable feeling bag and it feels very, very well made. There's no issues with the stitching looking loose or anything like that, which is what we've come to expect from Able Carry. They're a very well-designed bag brand, so nothing really surprising there. With the external features here, we don't have anything too crazy. We've got Able Carry here and the little like Hypalon tab. So, just looking at this bag, unless you know Able Carry's sort of like design features, you wouldn't necessarily know right out the gate. There's no like loud logo or branding or anything, which I personally like. We also have loops all around here. These can give you a little bit of extra grip if you need it when you're opening up the main compartment. I never needed it. The zippers are very smooth. They're YKK zippers all around. Main compartment's lockable as well. But there are a lot of places to hook gear if you want to. You could hook gear on the bottom if you wanted to. I think there's, these loops on either side of the carry handles. Those exist as well. There's loops on the inside. So you really have a lot of options if you wanted to attach gear to this thing. I wouldn't necessarily use these ones on the bottom because they don't really make sense, because if you put your bag down, then you're just putting your bag down on top of all your other gear, plus it's swinging around, doesn't make sense. But this is what they call their A-frame design down at the bottom here. So this stitching here actually gives it a little bit of structure, and then they just made it functional. So I think one of the things they do really well with this bag and with their bags in general is they take features that exist for a design reason, right? Like adding structure to the bottom of the bag, and then they make them useful so they're not just like hanging out, right? Like, if you're gonna have tabs here, or if you're gonna have this material here, you might as well make it into a tab. So I do like that. Adds a little bit of versatility to this thing as well. We also, on the outside, have carry handles. So this carry handle on the side and then one on the top. They are just like a simple nylon carry handle, nothing crazy going on there. And when you pick it up, it does kind of sag a little bit down, but it doesn't really impact the aesthetic of the bag too much, so no big deal there. And I'm not really carrying the bag for long distances by this top carry handle or side carry handle, but if you were to, it's not particularly padded, so it wouldn't be like that comfortable, especially once the bag gets heavy. But for quick grabs in and out of a main compartment or on the subway or something, it's comfortable enough for that. The harness system looks really simple, but I think it's where this bag shines. So with the shoulder straps here, you can see that they're pretty thick. That's like 1.5 inches almost to, maybe even 2 inches of padding there. And what's nice about that is that you get that carry comfort, but the straps themselves aren't super stiff. So a lot of the times when bags have really wide shoulder straps with a lot of thick padding, you can't really like squeeze them and squish them, but these ones are. They're super squishy and they're really, really flexible as well. They move really easily with your body. They've also got this kind of like S-curve shape to them, so they feel a little bit more ergonomic on. But even when this bag was completely full with all of my gear, I still found it really comfortable to carry, and it didn't feel too imposing on my small frame, because a lot of these really thick, wide straps can start to feel like really bulky up against your neck or your shoulders, and I never ran into that issue with this. So if carry comfort is a huge priority for you, this bag is gonna do that really, really well. With the back panel as well, we have some squishy mesh padding. It's mesh here as well. And it's that same mesh. It's kind of soft, not like overly soft, but it does add a little bit of airflow. And then there's also this air channel here that has a luggage pass-through if you want this to double as like your carry-on bag or something like that, or even a personal item depending on your airline. There's also this little like loop up here. They call this their toilet door hook. So that's definitely what it's designed for. It's all the way at the back here so that, it lays flat up against a stall door or something like that. I really like this because it makes it easy to hang off of like my hook here at the office. So that's really nice. We also have where the shoulder straps are attached. They curve a little bit to like around your body. This doesn't really like it's not that I can like feel this outright, but I think it's a really nice design feature. I think it's very thoughtful because instead of just being the strap attached like to the edge here, it just helps it curve and adds a little bit of stability, especially once this bag starts to get heavy. You know, you don't have to worry about like these straps coming off or anything like that. So very, very simple, but still effective. And then we also have the sternum strap here, which is hidden away. You do not have a railing, so you have to move them individually each time, but it is kind of set it and forget it, and I like that it's hidden, so kind of a trade-off. Able Carry does carry comfort very well, and it's very apparent in this bag. Even though it is pretty big on my body, it doesn't feel very big. It's coming down to kind of my lower back here, or like just above my butt, but it doesn't feel like it's digging into me or anything. The back panel is curving to me pretty well. There's a little bit of a gap, but not unusual for a bag of this size on my frame. I'm 5'6" and I have a 16.5-inch torso, so you can kind of get an idea of that. But everyone on the team finds it pretty comfortable, which is nice. With these shoulder straps too, you can see that they are that like thickness is kind of hitting me on the shoulders and the neck. But like I said, because it's so flexible, I don't really feel it much. But the sternum strap is really the only thing that I don't love about this. It has like a little button push in the front, and it's just a little bit tedious to put on and off, or to put on and take off. Not because it's difficult, but because it's just a little bit different and takes some getting used to. I generally prefer more of like a buckle style or even like a fidlock. This is just kind of like a weird in between that I don't super love, and find myself messing with more than anything, trying to get it back together. If you're finding this video helpful, hit subscribe so we can keep making content to help you travel smarter. Looking at the external compartments on this thing, there's just a ton of organization in here in general. So if you like organization that you can kind of like build your own and DIY what you put where, this is going to be a great bag for that. I really, really liked it. So starting off, we have a very simple pocket. It's like a hidden security pocket in the back here. It unzips. The zipper pull sometimes will stick out. It never really bothered me, but you can tuck it away pretty easily. And in here is where I put a passport. It does have a decent amount of depth to the pocket. I mean, the pocket goes down to here, so you can see you have a decent amount of depth there. But then also, like, if you wanted to put thicker items in here, you could. You don't really feel them through the back panel, which is nice, but you can see it's kind of hard to get my hand in and out of there. So the more you have in, the bigger the item you have in here and the more you have in the main compartment, the harder it's going to be to access whatever's in this compartment. So I usually kept it to flat items. I'm going to leave this out to show you something in a bit. But with the rest of the compartments, we have a side pocket here, which is like a little flat quick grab pocket. So if you were to like swing the bag over a shoulder, you can get to this pretty easily. In here, I put my phone, and then I also have in here my wallet. You can see the pocket goes all the way down to the bottom. So I usually kept this pocket for maybe my phone. My wallet, I kind of stuck somewhere else. I'll show you. But like I mentioned, there's a lot of different variations of organization you can use in this bag. So depending on what you put somewhere, I'll show you in a bit, but depending on what you put somewhere, there's somewhere else for whatever you usually put there to go. So it's kind of nice. There's also, if you look in this pocket, it's kind of like a dual pocket. So we have one just like big space here, and then the other space is this little like stretchy mesh area. And this has the key leash. So it's just a very easy carabiner clip. I like that because then my keys tuck away in here, and I can store other items in here without like basically fighting my keys every time I go into this pocket, because usually I just stick my keys in there and then I'm good. This also is technically removable. You'll see a red loop elsewhere when we look at the bag on the inside. And so you can technically move wherever this key leash goes, just kind of with a quick little loop closure. So that's nice there. As you can see, the pocket is fairly roomy. It's a little bit on like the thinner side though. So I would stick to kind of smaller, like thin items like a wallet or a phone in there. On the other side, however, is a bigger pocket, and this is for a water bottle. So in here I have a, what is this? A 24-ounce hydro flask, and it's a little bit bulky up top. So you can see that that wide shape definitely fits in there, and there is some room to spare. They say that this fits up to a 1-liter water bottle. I found anything, it wasn't the size of the water bottle, it was the height of the water bottle. So this one's short, but I have an Awala that wouldn't, like I couldn't close this pocket when the Awala was in there because it was wider up top. So it's less about like how big your water bottle is and more how big your water bottle is. if that makes sense. So I'm gonna leave this in here so you'll see what it looks like on the inside, because it does impact the main compartment a little bit. And then we also have this top pocket. So this, I would say, is kind of like the shining area of this bag, because they say it's expandable, but I think they just mean that the more gear you put in here, it will expand out with it, because you can see the gusseted sides here. Like, there's no expansion zipper or anything, but with like this pair of shoes, this is a size men's 10.5. So, or my men's size 10.5, and those fit in there with a little bit of room to spare. I generally wouldn't put shoes in here. You could use this, like they call it their duffel style opening, so you can get a solid look at all the space in here. You could use this for clothing. You could put a packing cube in here. I mean, that's a tiny packing cube, and you can see there's still extra space left. So it's definitely something that is convenient if you find yourself carrying like a variable amount of gear, but completely empty. Close that down, flatten it a little bit, and you can see that the bag almost like looks completely normal again. So I think they did that sort of like expansion design really well without needing like an expansion zipper. There's also a zippered pocket in here, which if you put the bag on its side, if you're accessing this pocket really quickly, you can see that that opens like face up. So it is a technically vertical zipper, but what's nice about it is because it is a zippered pocket, then you can tuck away small items in there and they're not gonna like fall out. So what I normally did is I filled up the main compartment completely with like all of my clothing and things like that. And then I use this front compartment for like toiletry bags, for extra accessories, things like that. You could do shoes, but it really can fit a ton of different gear. We also have the back laptop compartment, and this is, oh, I forgot to zip that up, but you can see this fits up to a 17-inch computer, a 17-inch device. Oh, I forgot to zip that back up too. I have a 13-inch MacBook Pro, and that fits in there with room to spare. The false bottom ends about here, so you have a decent couple of inches of space for device protection. And then with this zippered pocket here, this actually gives you some like tech organization. The more you put in here, the more it's gonna cut into this space, and the harder it's gonna be to get to your device. But there are a couple built-in pockets here, and I use that for the chargers. So I have the actual charger, I have the cable, and then in the inside here, I have a pair of Samsung headphones. You can see it's a little tight, but they do fit. Just wanted to show you what it looks like with not AirPods in there. And then you have a little bit of extra space. I also sometimes would like drop my wallet in there or something, if I wanted quicker access to it than like on these side pockets. And then there's also the last thing, this back pocket here, which accesses the frame sheet, but they have a hidden pocket here, which is extra security pocket if you wanted to put a passport in there. So while they do have this security pocket here, if you maybe got to your destination, you don't need your passport all the time, you wanted to tuck away somewhere extra super secure, or maybe hide some extra cash or something like that, that's gonna be a really good spot for that. You can zip it back up, and nobody's really gonna think to look in the frame sheet. You can kind of see the outline of stuff, but I think it's a unique take on a security pocket. And the last pocket we have is on the shoulder straps. So there's one on either side. You can see it just sort of opens. It's like the sternum strap here. Here, I can actually show you a little bit closer. That buckle is what I was talking about earlier. Just kind of like a button that you press, but I don't know, it's unique. But above that, like above where those actually attach, there is a pocket here that goes all the way down to the bottom, and this is where you can stick a like Metro card or a card that you use very frequently, so you have quick access to it. So it doesn't sit right here, because if it sat right here, it has risk of falling out. You actually tuck it all the way down. Very easy to get to. It's not something that I used a ton of, but I like that it has the option if you do use this as like your primary commuter bag. And now into the main compartment. So this has a like clamshell design here. The bag opens. Again, if you're familiar with other able carry bags, this is going to look pretty familiar to you. But the organization in here is pretty solid for clothing. I have things in cubes here, the like clothing in cubes here. Actually, let me put that back in there. I was able though to pack even without cubes. I think I got like 2 pairs of pants, 3 shirts, and like an extra layer and like a pair of pajamas in here. And then all of my cubes and pouches went into the front, and everything was like comfortable with some room to spare. So depending on the size of your clothing, you know, your mileage will vary. But what's nice about this is that it is so easy to pack. The disadvantage is if you're using this water bottle pocket, that's where this is on the outside, you can see it cuts into your space. And I found this to be like, if you're using pouches that create a very neat, like packable space, that impacts this, because as you can see, if I take this pouch out, it kind of is at an angle now because of the bottle size that I have in there. So like this doesn't really perfectly fit. It goes down there, and then I have some like weird gap space there that's like another pouch kind of fits, but not technically. So if you're someone who really likes to kind of like Tetris things in there, this is gonna be great. But if you want everything to just kind of like set in, maybe don't utilize this bottle pocket, because without a bottle in there, it's fine. With the cubes though, take those out nice and easy. And then you can see at the very bottom here, there is a like mesh, same meshes you see all around the bag. And this is a good like tablet pocket, or you can stick a notebook there. It's so flat that if you don't use it, which I rarely did, then it just stays completely out of the way, which is nice. This is also that tech pocket from the laptop compartment, which you can see is pretty flat here. And this actually does stay pretty flat consistently. I found it packed more into the laptop compartment than it did actually like into this main compartment, which is nice for packability for everything else you have in here. This side pocket is really nice too. I think I did like a pouch in here at one point, maybe not this one, but what I did with this is like, it goes all the way down, so you could put maybe like a pair of sandals in here if you wanted to, like really, really flat sandals. But what I did with this was I used it for items that were like tall, but still really skinny. So I put like a full-size hairbrush in here. And I tucked it down, and it was nice because then I wasn't getting like hair all over my stuff, but it also didn't fit in the toiletry bag I was using. So it was kind of like that good middle ground for stuff where you're like, I don't really even know where to put this. That was a good pocket for that. Really easy to access, that same mesh, so it's a little stretchy, obviously cuts into main compartment space, but no big deal if you're, accounting for that. And then on the lid here, we have this pocket down at the bottom, which is mesh, but not really like a see-through mesh. It's a slightly stiffer mesh. So if I bring that up closer, you can see that pattern versus the other mesh pattern. They're a little bit different. This pocket here will pack out as you add items in. I have in here right now a hat. I also put like socks and underwear in here at one point. Like I kept them here, and then once they were used, I put them here. So that was kind of nice, almost as like a little laundry bag compartment. And then this top pocket you can see has its own packable space here. It's not like super duper flat, and it doesn't cut too much into this main compartment, which is nice. So it packs out this way versus this way. And this is where I put, right now I just have gum in here, but I also at some points put my phone in here or my wallet in here, because when I'm carrying the bag, I can very quickly open it up top, get to this pocket, open up really quick, and there's whatever I need. There's also, this is that same red loop as is in this pocket here. So if you wanted to move the key leash, you can move it over there. So a lot of good built-in organization. Like I said, if you move things, like if I didn't have the shoes in this front compartment and I put them in the main compartment instead, then I would put other like pouches and things in the main compartment. If you wanted to put shoes in here, you could, but then that water bottle gets a little bit dicey, so you might have to move them to a more creative space. So you do have to get a little bit creative with how you arrange your gear, but I think what's nice about this bag is its size is really versatile. And if you're already like a smart packer, or you like utilizing a capsule wardrobe, you can definitely get, a week's worth of travel gear in here easily. Maybe a little longer than that. You might have to bring some items that wouldn't fit, or it might be a little bit tight. But you can get really creative. And there's also like loops in here if you wanted to, loop your gear around and get even more creative with it. And one last thing that's unique about this bag is if you look in the laptop compartment here, this is the main compartment. There are actually little holes here where you can feed through like a cable or something like that. That's at least what I would use it for. If you have another functionality for this, definitely let us know in the comments. But if you do maybe have like a charger in here and you wanted to, charge your phone in the main compartment, or charge like a device that's in this tablet pocket, that is an option. So there you have it, the Able Carry Max EDC. Thanks for keeping it here at Pack Hacker, your guide to smarter travel, and we'll see you in the next one.